Okay. Very good evening, guys. We all are set to start the session 2 of your Python programming journey. Please let me know if I'm audible. Am I audible to you? Please type yes if I'm audible. Okay. Okay. That's great. So yesterday we installed Python on our systems. Then we saw that we wrote the first program in Python. Using print functions, we printed the messages on the Python shell. Then we saw the usage of spaces, the importance of spaces and the comments in Python code. So before starting writing Python code, you should learn that why we need to comment our code, we need to follow the good programming style, having having spaces at the right places in our code, right? Then we saw the different types of errors that you may encounter while you will be coding, right? So why we talked about errors first before writing programs? Because if you know what the error is, how the errors may occur in my program, then it will become very easy for you to write errorless programs. Or if you encounter any error in the code, it will be very easy for you to fix the code, right? So let me share my screen and brief you about the topics that we will be discussing in this session, right? So here it is. Yes. So we will be discussing about variables, what are values. Then we'll read the input from the user. We'll see what is multiple assignment, what is simultaneous assignment. We'll have look over them. So let's start with a simple example. Here you can see the three classroom doors, right? These are three classrooms of your school. Now suppose if I ask you to call the monitor of class 6th, what will you do? You can see the three classrooms and I'm asking you to call the monitor of class 6th. What will you do? Obviously, what you can do is you will go to the first classroom, then you will ask whether it's class 6th or not. If it is class 6, then you will call the monitor of that class. And if it's not, then you will be moving to next class. There also you will try the same. If it is 6th class, you will call the monitor of that class. If it's not, then you will be calling the monitor, then you will be moving to next class, right? I hope this makes sense. Yes. It would be very difficult for you to find the 6th class when there is no labeling like this. Now, if these labels would have been there, this thing would be there, this label would have been there on the top of the classroom door, then it would be very easy for you to figure out that which is the 6th class, right? And if I ask you to call the monitor of 6th class, you will directly see the label on the door. If it is 6, you will go directly to that class and will call the monitor of that particular class, right? Also, if I ask you to go and sit in the class 6th class, what you will do, you will see the label, and if it is 6, you will go to that particular class and will sit very confidently in that class, because you will be sure that I saw that label was 6 and I'm sitting in the correct class, right? So you saw this small label at the door, at the top of the door, makes your life very easy. When you wanted to get something out of this classroom, then this label helped you. When you want to move inside the classroom, then this label actually helped you, right? In both the cases. Now I take another example. See, here you can see two boxes. One is labeled mangoes and it has mangoes in it. And another one has apple is written over there and it has apples in it. Now, if I cover these two boxes, right? And if I ask you to pick one apple for me, what you will do? You will simply go to the box on which apple is written, and then you will blindly pick out one fruit out of it. And you are sure because you are picking it out from the box labeled apple, the fruit that will come out will be an apple only, right? And if I give you an apple and ask you that put this apple inside the box, what you will do? You will again go to the box with label apple, right? And you will put blindly that fruit, that apple inside that box, because you will be sure that all the apples will be inside this box on which apple is written. Now, if this box on which this labeling has been done, this apple and mango has been written, in programming terms, we call these boxes as variables, right? These boxes are variable, and these variables have certain labels on it. So these boxes have certain labels on it. And the content inside these boxes, here the fruits, are actually the value. So in programming term, we can say variables are the boxes. We can label these boxes, and the content of these boxes is called the value, or we can store the value inside a variable, right? And what is the use of this labeling? This mangoes and apples. This labeling helps us to it makes it easier to store the value inside the variable, or to fetch the value out of the variable, right? I'll explain you with the help of example, but the first thing to consider is why we need variables in programming. What is the importance of variables, right? So let me show you. Let us get to the shell, the Python shell. I launch Python shell here, and I'll type something like this. Suppose I write number of coins equals to 200, suppose. So I write some statement which is number of coins equals to 200. You can visualize this thing as, let me show you. So you have this box with you, right? So there is a box which has a label number of coins. Now, when I write number of coins equals to 200, it means, see, this is a variable or the label on that variable, right? And this is called assignment operator. Assignment means I want to assign this thing. And on the right side, we have a value. So we want to assign this value. Assignment operator says we want to assign the value from the right side to the left side variable, right? So here, if I write number of coins equals to 200, it means I want to store this value 200 inside this box, which is labeled number of coins. I hope you're getting this. Okay. So next, let's move. When I write number of coins, next time whenever I write number of coins equals to something, it means I am trying to assign. So suppose if I write number of coins equals to 100, so what does it mean? I want to remove this previous value, and I want to assign this value 100 to number. So I want to store 100 inside this number of coins. So whenever I use this variable name with assignment operator, it means I want to assign, whenever I'm using a variable name on the left hand side of assignment operator, it means I am trying to assign this value to this variable. I'm trying to store this value into this box, right? And when I simply write number of coins, there is no assignment operator, right? I simply write number of coins. It means I want to get the value out of this box. So when I write number of coins, it means it has to be 100. When I write number of coins plus 10, it means I want to first fetch the value of number of coins the box has in it. So I'll have 100 out of it. So I'll get the value out of it, then add 10 to it. So it will give me 110. You get it? So how you can visualize this statement when I write number of coins equals to 200? So I have a box with me in which I have stored 200, right? Now, if I want to get the value of this, I can simply write number of coins and it will get me the value of it, which is 200. I hope you get this. Now, we will get back to the previous example that we discussed yesterday. Yesterday, we saw that you found 20 gold coins in the garden, and then your grandfather helped you to generate 10 magic coins every day, right? And your friend were stealing 3 coins every week from your treasure. Then we had to answer the question that how many remaining coins will be there with you after 1 year, right? So we wrote some equation and we figured this out, that what will be the number, right? So yesterday we did something like this. We had 20 gold coins. We produced 10 gold coins, 10 magic coins every day. So we'll multiply that by 365. We will be producing 10 coins every day. So we'll be producing 365 into 10 coins. And then 3 coins were stolen every week. So we had 3 into 52. So we subtracted 3 into 52 from this figure. This gave me total number of coins, which was 3514. Now this value is just a value. I want to store this value inside some variable so that I can use it, right? So I use a variable like total coins, like this. Total coins equals to 20 plus 10 into 365 minus 52 into 3, right? So when I see now, if I want to check the value of this total coins variable, I can see it is giving me 3514. So here I was simply writing the equation. Here I have stored the result of this equation inside a variable, which is total coins. And now I can see total number of coins is 3514 for 3514. Now what happens is there is a twist, right? What happens? Your friend is not stealing 3 coins every week. Now he's stealing only 2 coins every week. Now, if you need to tell how many coins will you have with you, what we need to do? We need to write this equation again, right? So we'll write this equation again. Total coins equals to 20 plus 30, 20 plus 10 into 365 minus 52 into 3. So 3 was number of coins that he was stealing. Now he is stealing 2 coins. So I'll replace this 3 by 2. If I'll check total number of coins, see, total number of coins now will be 3566. So when he was stealing 3 coins every week, total number of coins with me was 3514. Now when he is stealing 2 coins every week, the total number of coins with me is 3566. I hope you're getting this. Okay. So now the thing is, when there was something changed, I had to rewrite that equation. I have to make the changes in my mathematical expression that I wrote, right? So if I say you found, instead of 20 coins, you initially found 30 coins, you again have to write this equation and have to make the changes in this equation, right? Now, what I do is I represent these things with the help of variables. I represent all the coins with the help. Let me make use of some variables, right? So found coins, let me create a variable to store the value of found coins. So I found initially 20 coins. So I'm creating a variable found coins and storing value 20 into it, right? And magic coins that I was generating every day was, so I'm again creating one variable for this magic coins. So magic coins that I was generating was 10. So I'm creating the variable 10, variable magic coins, and assigning value 10 to it. And the coins that were stolen, so I'll create one more variable for stolen coins, right? And these stolen coins were 3 initially. So my friend was stealing 3 coins. So I have created a variable stolen coins and assigned the value 3 to it, right? Now, if I need to check the total number of coins, total coins will be, found coins plus magic coins into 10 into 365, sorry, minus stolen coins into 52, right? So I have written a mathematical expression using variables. Here I was writing the expression using values only, but the same thing has been written here using variables, same expression. Now, if I print the value of total coins, you will see total coins is 3514. So when my stolen coins was 3, this expression was giving me value 3514. And this expression is giving me value, this expression, the expression using variables is also giving me value 3514. Now, if the number of stolen coins changes from 3 to 2, in earlier case, I need to rewrite the equation. I have to make the changes in my mathematical expression. But here, I just need to update the variable stolen coins. Stolen coins are now currently has value 3, but now my stolen coins are 2. So I simply updated the value of stolen coins only. And now if I want to check how many total coins I will be having after 1 year, I don't have to make any change in the equation. I can use the same equation. You can see I am using the same equation. I'm not making any change in the expression or equation. And but total number of coins, total coins has changed now. Total coins is 3566, which was there also. So here I had to change the expression. Here I didn't change anything in my expression, and I'm getting the updated result when my stolen counts has been updated to 2. So I'll get the updated total number of coins, which will be 3566. So you got some idea that when you use variables, you can reuse your mathematical expressions, and you don't need to you don't have to make changes in your expressions, right? It will save a lot of time for you. So we can define variables like this. Variables are the way of labeling things so that you can use them later. So what we are doing, we are labeling the coins here, there, and we are using those coins later in some mathematical expression, so that we need not to make any change in the mathematical expression. We just have to make changes in the variable values, and the expression will give me the updated values. So we can say variables are the way of labeling things so that you can use them later. I hope you're getting this. Okay, so let's move to next thing, variable naming constraints. So when you have a box with you, you cannot simply write anything on that box, right? You cannot label anything on label with anything on the box. There are certain rules. There are certain rules which you should follow while naming your variable, right? The variable can contain the letters from A to Z. Okay, so the variables, like here we have some name, area. Area can be the name of your variable. It contains all the alphabets, right? Average, this is also a valid variable name. Then the variable can also contains the digits from 0 to 9. So here we have num1. This is also a valid variable name. Feet to inches, again a valid variable name. Your variable name can also contain underscore. So if your variable name consists of more than 2 or more than 2 words, you can use underscore to have a good readability of the name. So suppose I write first name here without underscore, so it would have been difficult to read. But when I put an underscore in the variable name, it is now more readable. So when your variable name consists of 2 or more than 2 words, you can simply use the underscore over there, right? So here first name, in which first and name is separated by a simple underscore. Feet 2 inches, this is also a valid variable name, where feet 2 and inches are separated by the underscores. But one thing you should take care, that your variable name should not start with a number. Here, first side, right? So the variable is starting with the number 1. Here, 2D array, the variable starting with number 2. So these variable names are not allowed in generally any of the programming languages, and Python also do it. Python also does not allow you to use the variable names like this, right? Let me show you on the command prompt. Close this. Now, if I type, suppose variable name is radius, I type radius equals to 10. You see, I won't get any error. It is valid variable name. But if I type 2D array, suppose 20, see, it is giving me syntax error because Python language syntax says that the variable name cannot start with a number, and you are starting the variable name with a number. That's why it is a syntax error, right? So when it is saying invalid syntax, you are not following the syntax of the language, you are not creating the right variable name. That's why it is giving you syntax error. So you should take care while naming your variables that your variable name should not start with a number, right? Now I have a quiz for you. You just go to the voting links. Just go to the voting link and share which one is a valid variable name over here. Three D sphere, MS Dhoni, circle radius. Which one is a valid variable name? Submit your answers fast. Okay, fine. We know that 3D sphere, this variable name starts with a number. So it is an invalid variable name, right? Again, MS Dhoni, anything can be a variable name, but it should be, suppose here we have all the alphabets and we are using underscore. So it does not contain any invalidity. It follows all the rules. So MS Dhoni is correct, right? If you go with circle radius, so circle radius consists of two words, but it is separated by space. You cannot have a space between your variable name. If you want to have it, the valid one would have been circle underscore radius. I hope you are getting this because most of the people are saying MS Dhoni is correct. This means you are getting what a valid variable name looks like. Great. Let's move ahead. So it's coding time, right? So here we will be writing the code to compute area of the circle with given radius. So what we need to do, we will have the radius of the circle and then we will compute the area of that circle and we'll print that circle. So let me open up the editor for this. Let's close the shell. Now, as we know how we do it, we create a new file over there. Let me put the name is suppose area.py. Okay, don't forget to have .py extension of your file name. Whatever file you create, you can write any, you can give any name, but the extension has to be .py. So we have created a new file area.py, right? Now, one thing to note over here is when you are starting your programming journey and you are given a program, don't directly start writing code for it, right? It's actually a very good practice. First, you write down the steps that you need to do in the form of comments. Okay, then we will write the actual code. So during this whole session, during this whole journey of learning Python, I'll follow one simple approach. I won't directly write the Python code. First, I'll write the comments, the steps in the form of comments. Then we'll write the actual code. So here we will have the radius with us. First, we'll set the radius, and we will compute the area radius. And after we have computed the area, we will be displaying the area. So these are the three steps that we need to achieve, right? So to set the radius, what I need to do, I need to have a variable and I need to have a value. So let the name of radius variable is radius only. I need to give it some value. Suppose I give it 10, right? Now I need to compute area using radius. So we know the formula. Formula is pi r square, that is pi, the value of pi, like we assume it's going to be 3.14. Then we have to multiply it with radius. Then again we multiply because it is square, or we can say pi into r. It has to be pi r square. Now this value will be computed. This value will be the area. We need to store this value inside some variable, right? Like the name of the variable is area only. So I'm saying area equals to 3.14 into radius. So I've computed the area and stored that value inside a variable which has the name area. Now I need to display this. So what I can do, I can use for displaying, I use print function. Here I display a message first. Then I want the value of area to be printed. So I pass the variable. So when I simply pass variable, it means the value has to be fetched out. When I write variable with assignment, it means this value has to be assigned over there. Variable without assignment, it means its value has to be fetched and printed. Okay. So let me save this program first. So after writing the code, we will save it using Control S, or you can go to the file option. Here you can see the save option, file menu, save option, right? Now we'll launch the command prompt. So here I'll type Python, then name of the file.py. So name of the file is area.py. So I hope you remember this. When I type this, it is giving me area is 3.1314.0. So we are able to compute the area of the circle whose radius is 10. I hope you're getting this. Okay. Now, a simple quiz. Show the printout of the following code, right? So I have two variables. If you look into it, I have two variables, width, whose value is 5.5. Then I have a variable height, whose value is 2. Then I have a print statement which says area is width into height. So it is printing actually the area of some rectangle, I think, right? Let me type this code over there. This is my demo file. So it says width equals to 5.5. It says height equals to 2. And it print area is width into height. Now if you'll see what this program actually do, let me try to guess what will be the output of this program. See, I have set the width to 5.5. I have set the height to 2, right? And when I'm printing this, so we have seen the things written inside the double quotes are printed as it is. But when we write some expression without double quotes, it is evaluated first, then it is printed. We have seen that yesterday, right? So it is width into height. Width into height will be, because it is without double quotes, this expression will be evaluated. So 5.5 into 2, it will give me 11.0. I think this program will give me the output area is 11.0. Let's try to run this. First, I need to save it. So we'll press Control S. then I write here, sorry, here I need to type Python demo.py because the file name is demo.py. Okay, it had some error. Not close this, right? This print statement has been closed. So you see, it is giving me syntax error, right? Syntax error means something has not been followed. Some structure has not been followed. So I had the open parenthesis for print function. I didn't have the closing parenthesis, right? So again, if I try to run this, it's giving me area is 11.0. So this is what I expected. I hope it matches your expectation also. So we have second quiz. It says we need to translate the following algorithm into Python code. So it is giving me certain steps and I have to convert those steps into Python code. So it says use a variable named miles with initial value 100. So it says I need to have a variable जिसका नाम क्या होना चाहिए miles and the value should be 100. So what will I do? I'll have a variable miles and its value has to be, initial value has to be 100. So this will be the statement corresponding to first thing. Multiply miles by 1.609, right? So I'm multiplying miles by 1.609. And it says assign it to a variable named kilometers. So I have to assign this value to a variable called kilometers, right? So use a variable named miles with initial value 100, that's done. Multiply miles by 1.609 and assign it to a variable named kilometers, it's done. Now display the value of kilometers. What is kilometer after step 3? So we'll display, for displaying the results, we generally use print function. So print kilometers. If I'll save this program and run this, you will see it is giving me 160.9. I hope you're getting this. So you should know how to convert these steps into Python code, because generally when you write down the steps, the task in the on your notebooks, then you have to convert those tasks into the Python code, right? It's never like that you are going to write the actual Python code instantly after hearing the problem statement, right? That's actually a bad practice. First, you write down it on pen and paper, or you write down on the editor only with the in the form of comments, and then transform those comments into actual code. You need to follow this practice. Then you will never make mistakes, or you will find very less errors in your programs. Okay. So now let's see what is this input and eval. Okay. Have a look at this program, right? This is your area program in which we have radius equals to 10. We computed the area. Now if I run this program again, area.py, it gives me output area is 314.0. If I run it again, it is giving me area is 314.0. If I run it again, it is giving me area 314.0. No matter how many times I run this program, it is going to give me the same result every time, right? It is computing the area of the circle of radius 10. Now I make certain changes in this program, right? Let me not remove this. I'll just comment this line, right? I'm commenting the first line in which I'm setting the radius. Then now see, I've done something. I'll explain you what I've done. But now if you see, if I run this program after making this change, it is first asking me to enter the radius, right? Now if I enter radius, suppose 10, it gives me area is 314.0. Now if I run again, this time again it is asking me to enter radius. Now if I give radius 20, it is giving me area of the circle with radius 20, right? Next time when I'll run again, and it is again asking for radius. I give suppose 15. It is giving me the area of the circle with radius 15. Now you compare both the programs, the first program and this program, the current program. The first program was always giving me the same output every time I was running the program. But the second program is actually asking me to enter the radius and then computes the area corresponding to radius to the radius of the circle that has been inputted by me. Right? Which one is more practical? You tell me. The softwares that you see in real world actually function or performs task depending on the user request, right? If your software is doing the same thing again and again, it's of no use. If your software is responding to user queries, right, then it's of use. So this program is useful actually, where it is asking the user to enter the radius and it is computing the area corresponding to that radius only. So this is more useful example. But if you'll see, the only difference was here. Here I was setting the radius to 10, and here I'm writing this some complex statement, right? So first we need to understand what I am doing over here. Let me tell you what this thing is and why it is this only simple piece of statement is making my program very flexible and very configurable, right? It is not rigid, right, like the first program. So let me explain you what is this. Let me launch the Python shell. Now if I write simply input, if I simply write input over here and now I press enter, you can notice that cursor is blinking and it has not printed anything, it's just blinking. Actually it is waiting for user input, right? So it is waiting for user input. Now if I press something, if I give something, it will take it as my input and print that input. Okay, it? But the problem was I was not able to figure out whether it was waiting for me and what input it is expecting from me, right? So it was simply waiting for me. Input function provides you the functionality in which you can pass the message, right? And pass message like this. So this message can be in double quotes or it could be in single quotes as well. So if I write input, enter the radius, right? And see here in this input function, I didn't pass anything. It was just waiting for me. In this second input function, I passed the message, right? So now if I press enter, it has first printed the message and now it is waiting for me to give some input. So it is giving the message that enter the radius. By this message, I am aware that I have to enter the value of radius. Now if I enter 12, what happens is it is taking this 12 as input. Okay, so you can use input function to prompt the user to input some value, right? But the problem over here is you can see this 12 is surrounded by the single quotes. I'm entering a number 12, but it is converting it into message, right? So whenever you give some input from this window, this console, the command prompt, it is treated as the message only. It is treated as a string, right? So again, if I input some value, it will be treated as a string. The problem is I want user to enter numbers. So user is entering number, but Python is treating them, this input function is treating them as strings only. So what I can do is I'll show you one function which is eval. See this eval function, if I pass a string to it, right? Suppose I pass 1, 2, it will convert the string to number. If I use eval function and I pass 34.5 into it, it will convert this string to number, right? So this eval function actually helps me to convert the string, a numeric string, to a number, right? So whenever I pass this numeric string means a string, a number in string form, right? So whenever I write a numeric string, I pass a numeric string to eval function, it converts that numeric string to a number only. So you might have got the idea what I'm going to do. I am going to pass this input function, which was converting my number into a string. Then I'll again get convert that string to a number using eval function. So I can write input here, enter the number, right? When I ask, see, now if I write 12, I am getting 12 as a number only. Getting this thing? Here, when I was entering 12, this 12 was treated as string. But when I pass this string, which was read by input function, into eval function, this eval function converted the string back to number. Now I have 12 as a number only. So whenever I want user to enter number, I'll pass the input function to eval function, right? But this value is actually lost somewhere. I need to store this value inside of this variable. So I will write this statement like this: num equals to eval input, enter the number. Now if you'll see this, it is asking me to enter the number. I have entering 12, suppose. Now this value has been stored. It is not lost. It is there inside the variable num. So when I entered something, right, it was converted, and when I entered some number, it was converted into string by input function. It was read as a string by input function. And then I converted that string to a number using eval function, right? So this statement is passing the input to eval, right? And then this number was stored in a variable like this. I hope you're getting this. Okay. So now let me show you the code, what I did over there. You can see I used input function where I pass the message, enter the radius. When I entered the radius, right, that was read as a string like this. And when this value has been passed 12 to eval, that value was converted into number. So this 12 will be assigned to the string. It will work like this. Got this? I hope this makes sense. So with the help of, so whenever we want user to input a number, I can use eval input to read that number. If I want user to input the string, I can simply use the input method. I don't have to use the eval method over there, right? So we have another code to write here. I want the program wants the computer to, we need to write a program to compute the average of three numbers entered by user. So we need to, here we need to write the program, right? That will ask the user to enter three numbers. See, earlier we asked only single number. Now I want three numbers. So my program will need to have three input functions, right? And need to have three variables in which I will store the values, right? Okay. So let's open up the editor. I'll create a new file. Let it be average.py. Computing average. So what I want is I want user to enter three numbers. So I already told you before writing any program, first you write down all the things in the form of comments only, right? Then we will write the actual code. So first thing that we need to do is we will prompt the user enter three numbers, right? So I can write it like this: enter first number, second number, and third number. I have simply mentioned we will prompt the user. So we'll have three input statements over here. Then when we have read the three numbers from the user, after that we will compute the average. Now when I've computed the average, I'll display the average. I hope you get this, right? So we have written what we are going to do in the form of comments only. Okay. So now I write the actual code for it. So because I want three numbers, I need to have three variables. My first variable is suppose num1. I need to use eval input for it. So I root eval input and I'll pass the message, enter first number, right? Similarly, I want num2 and num3 also. So I'll ask enter second number. And when user will enter second number, I will store in a variable num2. And I'll store in variable num3 when I'll ask user to enter third number. Okay? So here I'll ask user to enter three numbers. So first number, second number, third number, user will enter the three numbers one by one. Then I'll compute average of these three numbers. So you know how do we compute? First we do sum of these numbers, num1 plus num2 plus num3, right? I'll compute the sum and then I'll divide the sum by 3 to compute the average of these three numbers. So division operation is this slash and then I have this 3, right? And this will be a value. So answer of this expression will be a value needs to be stored in some variable. So I write average, like the name of variable is average only. The names of the variable should be intuitive. You should be able to understand. I cannot put, it could be average, it could be avg, it could, but I cannot have the name here as radius, right? The name of my variable has to be intuitive. So avg is also fine, average is also fine, right? You can have any variable name, but it needs to be intuitive. It should determine, it should be able to tell, we should be able to figure out by the name that what value it holds, right? Then I'm going to display the results. I'll simply use the print function. Here I'll first print the message that average is, then I'll print the value of average. Like this. Now if I run this program, I type Python, then file of the name is average py. It is asking me enter first number. Suppose I give 10. Asking me enter second number. Suppose I give 20. And third number, suppose it is 30. Expected average will be 20.0. When you can compute it on your calculator and verify the answer of our program, right? So here we have seen with the help of eval input, we can read the numbers from the user. I hope you got this. Okay, let's go one step ahead. Now just look at these here. We have two glasses. One has a label A and another one has a label B. The glass A is filled with blue liquid, okay, and glass B is filled with red liquid. Now, if I ask you to swap the contents of these two glasses, right? I want blue liquid in B glass and red liquid in A glass. Can you do it for me? Can you do it? Okay, we will need a third glass for it, which is C. Without the C glass, it's not possible for me to swap the contents of these two glasses, right? So it's a simple way. I'll take one empty glass and first thing that I'll do is I'll transfer the content from A to C like this. So I'll move the contents from A to C. Then I'll follow the second step that will be I'll transfer the contents from B to A. So here I'll transfer the contents from B to A like this. Now the third step will be transferring the content from C to B like this. Now you will see after these three steps, first one from A to C, then B to A, then C to B. We have been able to transfer the contents or to swap the contents of these two glasses. Now A has red liquid and B has blue liquid inside it. Okay, so you got the idea? In three simple steps, A to C, B to A, and C to B, we were able to swap the contents of two liquids. Now assume that these liquids, these are not liquids, these are, A is a variable and B is a variable. A has value 20 inside it and B has value 10 inside it. Can you swap the contents of these two variables? Okay, our next program is going to be this only. We need to write a program to swap the contents of two variables. Let's check this out. Let's open up the editor and try to solve this problem. Okay. Okay. So I'll again create a new file over here. Right click, new file. Let it be swap.py. Don't forget .py extension, right? So I have .py extension. Now, again, we will write down the steps in the form of comments. Don't forget this. So we'll set the values of A and we'll set the value of B. We have two variables A and B. We'll swap the values. First, we'll set the values of A and B. Then, for swapping, we need a third glass. Take the third glass C. Yeah, or we can say instead of glass, we'll say variable here. Take the third variable C. Right? Then, when we had the third glass with us, what we did, we transferred from A to C first. So transfer content from A to C. This is step 1. Then we had step 2. Transfer content from A to C. Then we have to move from B to A. Okay. Then step 3. Transfer content from B to C. B to B. And then I'll display the swapped values. These are the steps. First, I'll set the value of A, then I'll set the value of B. Then I'll take the third variable C, which is empty, right? Then we'll follow these 3 steps, A to C, B to A, C to B, and then I'll display the swapped values. So this will be my steps. Then I'll write the actual code. Suppose A equals to 10 and B equals to 20. So we have set the value of A, we have set the value of B. Right? Now we'll take the third variable C. Suppose C, because initially the glass has to be empty, so I say C equals to 0, right? Now if we need to transfer the content from A to C. So I write transfer the content from A to C. So the value that has to be assigned has to be on the right side. So when we need to transfer the content from A to C, that means C will have the content of A. So we'll write C equals to A. So transfer the content of A to C, right? The value of A will be assigned to C. Transfer the content from B to A, we need to write A equals to B because the value from the right side will be transferred to the variable on left side, right? Okay. Transfer the content from C to B. So we need to write B equals to C. Hope you get this. So B equals to C. Now when everything is done, we have followed the 3 steps. I'll print the values of A and B. Print A comma B. So I can write A equals to A and B equals to B. We'll get this. If I'll save this program, I'll try to run this program. Name of the file is swap.py. I'll type swap.py. See, it is giving me a equals to 20 and b equals to 10. So initially you see a was 10 and b was 20. When I took the third variable, I swapped the contents of these two with the help of these three steps. The way I swap the contents of classes, I swap the content of these variables. And after that, when I printed the values of a and b, it is giving me 20 and 10, the swapped values. The value of a is 20 and the value of a is 10. So the same logic worked over here also. The thing that you performed with glasses, the swapping the contents of the glass, the same thing, the same logic worked with the variables as well. Got this? Okay. So our code looks something like this, right? Now I'll share one more code with you. Here you will see a equals to 10, b equals to 20. We are printing a and b, these are unswapped values. Then I'm writing one statement which is a comma b equals to b comma a. It is saying that this logic will swap the values of a and b, right? Let me check, let me verify. Instead of writing all these steps, I don't need C over here, right? What I can do is, instead of writing all these steps, I have A, I have B with me. I can simply write A comma B equals to B comma A. See, it is written over there, A comma B equals to B comma A, right? I have written A comma B equals to B comma A. I've removed all those swapping steps from A to C, C to B, and B to A, and A to C to B. I've removed these three steps. See, I'm not using the third variable over here, right? I'm not using any C variable over here. Now, if I'll save this program and if I run this, again, you will see the value of A and B are swapped. The value of A was 10, the B was 20. But after applying this logic, A comma B equals to B comma A, right? What happened is the values are swapped. So it is, if you want to feel it like this, this statement is called simultaneous assignments. And what happened actually is, instead of swapping the contents, we have actually swapped the stickers of these two classes. You got it? So now if someone, the third person, look at this condition where the A glass has red content and B glass has blue content, for him, it will look like that the contents are swapped. But actually what happened is we just swapped the stickers, the labels on those glasses. So this is what it is doing. A comma B equals to B comma A. So A will start pointing to the glass to which B was pointing, and B will start pointing to the glass to which A was pointing. So this can be accomplished with the help of simultaneous assignments or multiple assignments, right? Now let me tell you what we can do with this simultaneous assignment. This is one thing where we can swap the values without using third variable, but what else we can do with this simultaneous assignment? So simultaneous assignment means, initially we saw we have something like this: radius equals to 10, a equals to 10. We did something like this. We saw that on the left hand side we have only single variable, but with the help of simultaneous assignments we can have multiple variables on the left hand side. These variables are separated by comma, right? So with the help of simultaneous assignments or multiple assignment, we can have the multiple variables at on the left hand side of the variable, right? Can be used to initialize multiple variables in a single line as well. So we'll see how we can use this simultaneous or multiple assignment to initialize. See here, I am assigning a equals to 10 or b equals to 20. Can I write it like this with the help of multiple variable, this multiple assignment? Set the values of a and b, and I can simply write a comma b equals to 10 comma 20. When I was initializing the values to different variables in two lines, I was writing a equals to 10 and b equals to 20. With the help of multiple assignment, I can use a comma b equals to 10 comma 20. Now what will happen? The first value here, when I write a comma b equals to 10 comma 20, right? When I write this thing, the first thing that you need to make sure is number of variables on the left side, right? If you have multiple variables, the number of variables on the left side should be equals to the number of values on the right side, right? Then the first value, the first value will be assigned to the first variable, and second value will be assigned to the second variable, and so on. If you have multiple variables, more than two variables, then you need to have more than two values, and the corresponding values will be assigned to the corresponding variable. So here when I write, so there is something wrong. It has to be a comma b equals to 10 comma 20, and when I write this, so it will assign 20 to a and 10 to b, right? So I can write, I showed you, we can do this. Now if I run this program, you'll see it works the same way. There is no difference. But instead of initializing two variables in two lines, I am able to initialize two variables in single line only. Now, multiple assignment or simultaneous assignment can be used for one more purpose, right? This is called multiple user input in single line. Just have a look at this thing, this program, where I wanted user to enter three numbers, right? Can I have some way in which I can ask user to input three numbers in a single line only? Because if we have multiple variables with us, I can write something like that. If we have multiple assignment, with the help of multiple assignment, I can write something like this: num1, num2, comma num3 equals to something. I can easily write this, right? So I don't want the user to enter three values in three different lines. I want user to enter three values or multiple values in a single line. So this is possible, right? We know that this is possible. Num1, comma num2, comma num3 is valid statement. We have seen this. I can write it like this: 10, comma 20, comma 30. This is valid statement, right? Now, if somehow these are fixed values, I want user to enter these values, right? Is it possible or not? Let me check. Right. Let me show you. If I write, if these values 10, comma 20, comma 30, right? So valid statement for here will be, if I have num1, comma num2, comma num3, the valid values will be, the valid statement of values will be 10, comma 20. So it has to be three values separated by commas, right? So if I ask user like this, eval input, enter three numbers separated by comma, right? So if I do something like this, enter three numbers separated by comma, if I give this message and user input the same way, 10, comma 20, comma 30, will this program work? Let me check. First of all, let me comment this. I have commented all these lines. Right now I'm saying num1, comma num2, comma num3 equals to eval input, but I'm asking user to make sure that enter three values and three numbers, they has to be separated by comma. So if I run this program now, Python average.py, right? So it is saying enter three numbers separated by comma. I give 10, comma 20, comma 30. I know this is the valid value. Now if a user enters something like this, see, it is giving me correct result. So what you can do is you can ask user to enter multiple values, but these values has to be separated by comma, right? In that case, we can have these values, we can have the multiple user input in single line only. You're getting this thing? Okay, so this is what it is. A comma b equals to 10, 20, comma 10. If I can fix those values, I can ask user also to enter those values. but user has to make sure that he's entering the correct amount of values. Right now, if you see, if I type python average.py, if I run this program and I enter only two values, right? I give only two values. I don't give three values, right? So it will give me error. Not enough values to unpack. Expected three, got two. So it is telling you that it was expecting three values and you provided only two values, right? That's why it is giving you value error. Value error means the values that you have given is not correct. I hope this makes sense. So now what we have learned till now is we can take number input from user and we can take multiple numbers input from a user in a single line. So this was the code. We need to write a program to compute average of three numbers entered by user. User should input three numbers in a single. So I have done already this for you, right? So we here user is entering three numbers and we are computing average of these three numbers. So you have learned how you can use how you well input to let the user enter multiple values in a single line. Now we have a simple quiz, right? So here, what is wrong with the following statement 2 equals to A? So I've told you that we generally write A equals to 2. A equals to 2 is valid statement. But what is wrong with this? Why can't we write this 2 equals to A? I hope you might have got idea. This A is a box with a label A. And when I write A equals to 2, I'm assigning this value into this variable, this box, right? But when I write 2 equals to A, it means I am trying to assign this box into this variable, this value 2, which is not feasible at all, right? This value is fixed. It cannot change. If it is 2, it has to be 2. It cannot change. And I cannot fix the box inside the value. I can fix the value inside the box, but box cannot be fixed inside the value. Okay. So that's why it is an error. And this, if I try this, see this, show you what error it will give me. So if I write 2 equals to A, gives me syntax error. Cannot assign. Syntax error means the programming syntax says, the language, the Python syntax says, whenever you are having, you are using the assignment operator, you should have the variables on the left hand side and the values or the variables on the right hand side. But what you are doing, you are using the values on the left hand side, right? This is not correct as per the syntax of the Python programming language. Now, what is X, Y, Z after the following statement? So it is actually a simultaneous assignment. So if we need to initialize multiple variables with the same value, right? So if we need to initialize multiple variables with different values, we have multiple assignment, A comma B equals to 10 comma 20. But if I want all the variables to be initialized to 0, so there is a shortcut that you can use like this: X equals to Y equals to Z equals to 0. Now if I print X, see, it will have value 0. Now if I print Y, it will have value 0, and Z will also have value 0. So all the variables will have value 0. So whenever you want to initialize multiple variables with different values, you can use multiple assignment, and you can use this simultaneous assignment or the shortcut when you want to initialize multiple variables with the same value. Okay. Now we have one question. Assume that A equals to 1 and B equals to 2. What is A and B after the following statement? A comma B equals to B plus 2 comma A plus 1. Right? So you have to submit this on the voting link. So I've opened the voting for this. A comma B, A was initially 1, B was initially 2. What will be what will be the values of A and B after A comma B equals to B plus 2 comma A plus 1? You can submit your votes. A was initially 1 and B was initially 2. Okay. A was initially 1, B was initially 2, and A comma B equals to B plus 2 comma A plus 1. Submit the solutions first, go to voting links, and you can submit the solution. Submit your answer first. Okay, we are waiting. We are about to close this. Let me tell you. See, initially A was 1, B was 2, and when I write A comma B equals to B plus 2, A plus 1, right? So what will happen? A will have the first bit, because it is multiple assignment, A will have this value, B plus 2, that is 2 plus 2, it will have the value 4. And B will have the value A plus 1, which is right. Initially it was 1 plus 1, it will give me value 2. So it has to be 4 comma 2. So A will have value 4, B will have value 2. If you want, I can tell you, I can run this for you. See this. A equals to 1, B equals to 2, A comma B equals to B plus 2 comma A plus 1. Right? Now if we'll see A, it is 4, B, it is 2. So the correct answer is the third one. A equals to 4, B equals to 2. I hope you got this. So that was all for today. So that was all for today. We discussed what are variables, how we can use different types of variables, how we can assign values to variables. Then we saw the assignments, multiple assignments, right? We saw the simultaneous assignments, and this was all for today, right? Next, in the next session, we will be discussing about the mathematical numbers, the different types of numbers in Python, and the operators that we can apply on these numbers, right? So what you need to do is, if you have registered for this course, after this session, you will have the certain quiz and the programming questions also. So one thing you need to understand, in programming questions, you need to take input, right? So when you write eval input, when you are reading numbers, don't pass any message into it. So when you are writing programs, let me help you. Let me share my screen again. So when you are writing programs to read the values from the user, so you suppose you write n equals to, simply write eval input. Don't pass any message to it, because there you don't have to print these messages. These input will be automatically read by the program, right? So if you put any message inside those input statement, you will be getting error. Your output will not match the expected output, right? So if you have any errors, if you find if you find any problem in submitting the solutions, there we have discussion forum. There you can submit your problems, right? I hope you enjoyed the session today. We'll see you on the next Tuesday. Thank you, guys.